Okay, well, there's Donald Trump, of course, and Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, the clear frontrunners for the Republican nomination. How are these three candidates perceived here in Germany?
You know, Ted Cruz counts as kind of the religious right-wing candidate. Marco Rubio is not perceived much at all here at this point. He's just becoming a clear frontrunner that the Republican establishment would like to see as a nominee of the party. Donald Trump is known for his radical rhetoric here in Germany, and he, for example, said after the Paris attacks that he wants to ban Muslims from the United States, and I think many Germans perceive that as a very dangerous touch to his campaign.
So we're looking at Donald Trump from a European perspective as seeming a bit off the charts in terms of his viability as a candidate. But Ted Cruz and Marco Rubio, are they even taken seriously by the German establishment as the potential next partner for Germany to be negotiating with as commander-in-chief in the United States?
Yeah, sure. I think they are. Marco Rubio especially has a lot of foreign policy experience. He's leading a commission in the Senate on foreign policy. So he would be, I would say, the most stable partner out of the three of them. Trump would have some problems here in Germany because he called our chancellor actually naive and insane for letting so many refugees into the country.
Okay. Let's move on to the next lineup, the Democratic lineup. It's a much smaller field, of course. The Republican field is still very crowded. They've narrowed it down pretty much to the three candidates we've talked about. But on the Democrat side, you've got Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton. Let's listen into what those Democrats are saying just ahead of the primary coming up in New Hampshire tonight.
So let me ask all of you guys, you ready to make a political revolution?
So people are talking about revolution. So what kind of a revolution would it be to have the first woman president of the United States?
As you go to vote on Tuesday, you're going to be choosing both a president and a commander-in-chief. And that is... That is one of the solemn responsibilities that the voters of New Hampshire have. You vet us. You take second, third, fourth looks.
We're here in New Hampshire where our opponent won. Let's not forget it. She won the Democratic primary back in 2008. If we can bring out a decent vote on Tuesday, I am confident we're going to win.
So Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, one representing very much the establishment, the other a bit of a rebel, a bit of an outsider, even though he is a senator, of course. How are these two candidates on the Democrat side viewed from a German perspective?
Yeah, you said it. Sanders is the outsider, and I think he's barely known in Germany at this point. He's really a bit of a phenomenon in the United States that just recently people picked up on. In contrast, Hillary Clinton, she's known as the former First Lady. She's known as the Secretary of State. So she's viewed very favorably here in Germany. Okay,
now both were talking about revolution. They're coming from the party that currently does hold the White House, right? The Democrats, Barack Obama also himself being a Democrat. I'm just wondering, how could they achieve any sense of revolution in a campaign where they already have the power?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Hillary Clinton really represents the establishment, and she would continue Obama's agenda in many ways, which is why Bernie Sanders has been so popular in recent months, because he's really been thinking outside the box. He is talking against political corruption in Washington, and that resonates with many of the young voters especially. So, yeah, he might actually have a shot at his little revolution.
He's actually predicted to win the primary tonight in New Hampshire, but that's largely, I suppose, because he's a senator from neighboring Vermont, many say. But in general, Bernie Sanders appeals to younger voters, as we know from the polling figures, and we know that Hillary Clinton appeals to older voters, to establishment voters. Is that sort of divide old-young also reflected in maybe the way Germans perceive these candidates?
A little bit. I mean, Bernie Sanders, he doesn't have much of a foreign policy agenda yet, and he's very much focused on the domestic agenda, on nationalizing banks or making student loans more affordable. So Hillary Clinton is more of the establishment kind of figure that German politicians would probably like to see in the White House, because she just brings that type of experience. And she herself said that she admires Merkel very much. So those two women might likely have a very strong relationship if she makes it.
A bond. Very quick prediction for tonight, winners?
Well, I think Trump and Sanders are going to make it.
Trump and Sanders. Okay, we'll hold you to that. Charlotte Potts, thank you so much. Well, just before we go, a reminder of the top stories we're following for you here on DWTV. Turkey expects as many as 600,000 Syrian refugees to head for its border in the coming days. They're fleeing intense fighting as the Syrian army, backed by Russian airstrikes, steps up its offensive against rebel forces in Aleppo.